A lot of people say I'm doing this out of revenge because we've got beef. I won't deny it. Me and Diddy have had issues. We've been going at it since 2006. He blocked Mace from signing with me. I dissed him in a track. He launched the vodka line. I launched mine. It's been a back and forth for years. You know why he's so desperate to shut this film down? Because he knows we found things. Footage, phone calls, conversations he recorded himself, contracts, NDAs, real receipts. But Diddy ain't the only problem. He's just a symbol. This industry is full of people like him smiling in the spotlight while pulling strings and hurting people behind the scenes. I don't make things
he's talking about, there's more footage. There's 140 hours that he has. And each episode was only maybe an hour, I think. There was 4 episodes. So there's at least 130 something more hours that he hasn't edited or, produced.
For some reason, Diddy, around the time of his arrest, thought, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to be exonerated later, so I'm going to film all this, and then I can use it in my big comeback later when I'm not in jail. Didn't work out the way he thought, and it turns out he went to jail for a few years. All right, he didn't get the full amount, but he still got a few years. And 50 Cent somehow managed to pay for the footage off of the videographer. Probably Diddy's worst nightmare, this. It's got to be up there. Now, we're going to get into what's in the actual documentary, and hell, it's something.
Anything that surprised you from that footage?
The footage, it was really interesting to see his last days of freedom, and what was sort of important to him. Obviously, there's phone calls with his attorneys, with his team. It was very interesting to watch a man who's known for his brand presence. He has a really amazing knack for marketing and all of that, and how he was sort of taking that into account and how he was coming off to the public, in the days leading up to his arrest and indictment.
Like 3 or 4 pictures in the documentary that I've seen of myself. Some people say they saw more, but I know three different times where I was certain places that you could actually see me in the documentary, and that's the only thing you're going to get.
When Netflix released Sean Diddy Combs, The Reckoning, something immediately fell off. The subject matter was serious, the timeline deeply unsettling, yet the story itself seemed carefully controlled. It wasn't the facts that felt missing, but the reactions. Key moments appeared softened, fueling speculation about unseen footage. Sources suggest the documentary included far more material than what ultimately aired, including scenes capturing Diddy's response as pressure mounted in the days leading up to his reported 2024 arrest. Questions intensified when the project was linked to 50 Cent and Gene Deal, a former insider, and grew louder as legal disputes followed its release. Netflix maintains everything was used appropriately. Diddy's team strongly disagrees, while both 50 Cent and Gene Deal continue to hint that much more remains unseen. Which leaves one unavoidable question. What was left out and why?
For some reason, Diddy, around the time of his arrest, thought, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to be exonerated later, so I'm going to film all this, and then I can use it in my big comeback later when I'm not in jail. Didn't work out the way he thought, and it turns out he went to jail for a few years. All right, he didn't get the full amount, but he still got a few years. And 50 Cent somehow managed to pay for the footage off of the videographer. Probably Diddy's worst nightmare, this. It's got to be up there. Now, we're going to get into what's in the actual documentary, and hell,
we need the core theme to be, you didn't do anything wrong. You didn't do anything wrong on any front.
By the way, these conversations, the lawyer had no idea he was recording them. So when the lawyer's like, yeah, we need everyone to believe you did nothing wrong, it kind of takes away from when the lawyer is out in public saying, yeah, my client is completely innocent, and now he's showing the behind the scenes where he clearly didn't think he was very innocent. So not Diddy's smartest move. However, throughout this journey, you'll see he makes a lot of crazy decisions.
I don't think it's working. I listened. I've been a superb client, as you said. I jumped on the plane. I'm coming to New York, but I'm just running around waiting for a shoe to drop.
He's shitting himself right now, in case you can't tell, and he really doesn't look good.
It's the middle of September, and there's still no indictment.
Bro, then you have to have a spokesman. You have to have some sort of comms to constantly be pushing that, Mark. Because you may just be the person that you just may watch CNN. You know what I'm saying? And there's 9 billion people in the world, and 7 billion of them is on Instagram. in TikTok.
He's basically trying to get control of the narrative. That's what he's really worried about. He wants public perception to be, this was all bullshit. Unfortunately for him, we'd all seen the CCTV of him beating the shit out of Cassie. So, like, we know you're not a good guy, man. That's out there. A statement from your solicitor is really not going to change that.
We have to find somebody that'll work with us, whether they're from this country or from another country. It could be somebody that has dealt in the dirtiest of dirty business of media and propaganda.
We need to brainwash some motherfuckers right now, and we need people who are used to working with the dirtiest of dirty, because that's what he is, and he's admitting it. How could you let this footage fall into the hands of 50 Cent, my guy? And honestly, it always comes down to money with Diddy, because Diddy didn't get rich just because he was, clever in music. Diddy got rich because he robbed people all the time, and him not taking care of the people around him, it just comes back to bite him a million times over.
It's like we have a movie, you're speaking this language, and you know what I'm saying, we need subtitles, and we're not providing the audience with subtitles. And I invited you to this movie, and you in this thing, you don't know what's going on. You just see you just see the images, quickly. Now it has a whole life of its own.
I gotta say, this whole doc was edited well. When you just see the pictures and they cut to the CCTV. Well done, 50. You nailed that, son. If you're going to take him down in style. So you get a clear window from the jump here into Diddy's psyche. He doesn't give a about Cassie or any of these girls. He doesn't give a about anyone. It's save yourself mentality, and it's crisis mode. And you can see on his face, well, he's got a problem. This is at an all-time high of his taking, surely, because he is stressed.
The most intense debate now centers on footage reportedly captured in the days leading up to Sean Diddy Combs' September 2024 arrest. A moment when pressure was clearly closing in. According to sources, cameras recorded private, behind-the-scenes conversations never meant for public view, including a tense call with legal counsel where the tone reportedly shifts from confidence to a quiet realization that control was slipping away. That moment alone raised alarms, because figures at that level rarely speak so openly unless options are running out. Sources claim the focus quickly moved from defense to image control, prompting strong pushback from Diddy's team, who argue the material was private and crossed a line. Netflix and 50 Cent dispute that claim, but what makes this footage truly unsettling isn't just what's said, it's when it was captured. Before the arrest, before the courtrooms, before everything changed. It reflects a rare awareness that influence and silence might no longer be enough. And once that context is clear, it becomes harder to believe the released documentary tells the full story, especially with reports suggesting the footage originated from a personal project Diddy himself initiated to shape his own narrative.
50, how'd you get it, and what does that scene show?
Well, I mean, you're a journalist, Avi. Avi, you would not disclose your sources.
We usually don't.
Yeah, but I got it. Yeah.
What he said.
and what do you think it conveys? Because we see someone trying to pull the strings and talking about, he would say affecting, others would say manipulating the public views of the allegation.
I think that, one big theme of the series is to go behind the scenes to really understand how brilliant you could say Sean Combs is at marketing, at owning his narrative, controlling the narrative at all times. And so why would that stop, when his life is on the line? So I think that, on its face, that's what it is. But as you get deeper in the film, you start to realize, perhaps how some of these tactics, how they really came to present themselves, during the trial.
You show that his abilities, his early rise. Right. Alexandra, you also give time to victims of the alleged abuse. Some of the cases are in different procedural postures, and you show victims who were women and men. Why is that important?
Because victims of sexual assault, sexual violence, gender should not be a part of that conversation. When you are a victim, you are a victim. And I think that, this series was a platform in a way for these alleged victims to come forward, give their truth, put context to their situations when so much of it was ripped out, and we just the world was going for the salacious headlines, and they really had the time to tell their story.
Yeah, and the film takes us way behind the PR or propaganda machine. You see Diddy the day he's finding out about new suits against him while he's in New York preparing for a possible criminal arrest.
Behind the scenes, Sean Diddy Combs' strategy reportedly began to unravel. Deals stalled, payments slowed, and trust started to fracture. And once that foundation cracked, the footage itself shifted from documentation to potential leverage. Sources suggest that members of the crew, uncertain of their standing and frustrated by broken promises, passed the material along, opening the door for 50 Cent's camp to step in. While 50 Cent has never confirmed the details, he hasn't denied awareness either, opting instead for cryptic posts and calculated hints that imply he knows far more than he's saying. Netflix maintains the footage was obtained properly, but that assurance doesn't erase the unease of watching influence slip in real time. Because once control changed hands, so did the narrative, and the power to shape the story moved elsewhere. And in the end, it's not just what's been seen that matters, it's what remains hidden that carries the most weight.
50 didn't have the power to do anything, but they used his name to like push the whole documentary. And that's what it was about. So that's why you don't see a cameo other than the pictures they used of me on the film in the documentary. I got like 3 or 4 pictures in the documentary that I've seen of myself. You know, some people say they saw more, but I know three different times where I was certain places that you could actually see me in the documentary, and that's the only thing you're gonna get. But the stories that they told in the documentary, bruh, come on. They could have went a whole lot deeper. They could have did a whole lot more. So I ain't in the documentary because that lady that was the director, I think, what's her name? Alex, you know, Alex State, you know her name, Mighty? Yo, Mighty, just give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna look this up, all right? Okay. Her name is Alex Stapleton. The director that I spoke to was Alex Stapleton. She was the one who told me that she was the director, she was the producer, whatever, this, that, and the third, the whole 9 yards. And she was talking mad greasy to me. And listen here, it's no my after you talk that kind of talk to me, it's no amount of money she could have paid me anyway for me to get in there. You know, my story is more too valuable, you know, getting in depth with this whole stuff. And it would have helped that documentary a whole lot. You know what I'm saying? In actuality, they used all the stuff that I told them and did it the way that I was saying do it. Tim Dog started off with the childhood with Puff and the whole 9 yards. Kirk Burrows do the business part, but they was trying to put people in there like Mark Curry and other people to talk about the streets or what was going on, you know, a certain thing. But Mark can only say so much, you know what I'm saying, because he was an artist, you know, so he wasn't with Puff like I was with him during that time when we was running back and forth here and there and the whole 9 yards. So, you know, Miss Alex Stapleton is the one reason why I'm not in the documentary, but it's all right with me. I've been in a lot of documentaries. I did The Shine, I did the A&E, I did the Discovery Channel, I did the Fox. You know, I've been in a whole lot of different documentaries, and I'm always on the art of dialogue. So the people been getting most of the information from here anyway.
Yeah, man, you always on here, man. Always got to bring you on. So with that being said, man, I want to get right into the documentary, man. How you feel about the documentary, man? The behind the scenes footage they got of Diddy leading up to him getting arrested. How you feel about all that, man?
Well, what I feel about the documentary, they left a whole lot of key things out. If they was going to do something and they're going to say in the reckoning of Sean Combs, the reckoning, or Diddy, the reckoning and stuff like that, it should have been a lot of people that we lost because of him. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't only Big, it wasn't only Tupac, you understand? For the atmosphere that he put those kids in, you got a guy named Anthony Wolf Jones, who was from Bad Boy, from its conception as doing security and being one of the financiers of Puff having to have some money to keep Big and Craig Mack around before he got to Clyde Davis. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't able to tell that story because they didn't have no intel on that story or what went down, or they didn't do their investigation
Gene
right.
Deal's presence shifts the entire tone of the story. As Sean Diddy Combs' former bodyguard, he has consistently claimed that cameras weren't an exception. They were the rule. According to Gene, meetings, events, even moments that seemed private were routinely recorded, not for memories or security, but for leverage and control. He suggests Diddy saw constant documentation as protection, proof of presence, proof of agreement, proof of authority, but records don't expire with loyalty. Once footage exists, it can outlive and outmove the person who created it. That's why when Gene speaks about unseen material, he doesn't sound surprised or alarmed. He sounds prepared, as if this outcome was never a possibility, but an inevitability.
Everybody want to say that 50 Cent did the whole documentary. He was responsible for doing the whole documentary, what goes in there, what goes out of there. And I don't believe that. And I don't believe that he's responsible for everything that goes in there. I don't believe he's responsible for everything that goes out of there. Guys want to say that he's snitching, you know what I'm saying, because he's telling his truth about what went down and what he saw or what he heard or whatever like that. I don't know how to love my enemy. And if I gotta put out the truth about something that he was doing and it's wrong, and that was wrong, I don't have no problem with that shit. Not a problem at all. Keep doing it. Maybe enough men come out and speak out on some bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they're saying that Diddy's family is preparing a $1 billion lawsuit over this documentary.
I think they dropped it already. I don't think they ain't gonna have a chance, because before you put something out like that, they're gonna dot their I's and cross their T's. They're gonna make sure everything is in place. And if Puff had friends over there at Netflix, if it haven't came down, if it haven't came down yet, they ain't got a leg to stand on.
Yeah, you just made me think of something. I'm sure Netflix has 1 million lawyers, and I'm sure they have plenty of lawyers go over this thing to make sure it was airtight.
Yes, sir.
And they might probably even cut some stuff out that maybe they weren't even sure about. Just probably. Well, Gene, I appreciate you taking the time. Dope content as always. And I wish you luck, man. I know, man, you get on these interviews and they go crazy, man.
Yeah, man, listen. A lot of people want to, come at me, and everybody want to find fault in 50, find fault in me, find fault in anybody who's speaking out against the evil that's been going on. But what about find fault from the person who did it? Find fault for the person who starved their artist. Find fault for the person who led an artist out there to lead to his death. Find fault in a person who set up the atmosphere for one of the greatest artists in hip hop to lose his life. You know what I'm saying? Find fault in a person that allegedly had a person sore in the middle of the night and they didn't want to be sore. Find fault in this individual who did all this crazy shit to people, instead of find fault in the people who's talking about it and letting you know about it.
Why do you think people defend Diddy? That's crazy, right?
I used to really believe they really wanted to be in the Diddy party so bad.
Gene Deal made it clear the public didn't see the full picture. What was released, he suggests, was carefully filtered, while far more exists that could completely reshape how everything is understood. And his words carry weight because he wasn't observing from the outside. He was inside, witnessing how things truly operated. His claim that cameras never stopped rolling reframes the entire documentary, implying Netflix didn't expose hidden secrets, but simply cracked open a door that had always been there. Netflix later acknowledged that not all footage was used, hinting at material deemed too sensitive to release. That decision left a vacuum, one quickly filled with speculation. As curiosity intensified, 50 Cent added fuel with subtle hints that more still exists, while Diddy's team pushed for silence. And that's exactly why the documentary feels incomplete. Not because accusations are missing, but because the rawest moments were withheld, making that restraint feel less like caution and more like avoidance.